This is what's expected of you for testing. This is the format. I'm going to take you through it now. You just mirror and match me. You can use this to practice from once you have it down and correct. Follow me through. First, we start in a horse stance. Take the hands to the waist in a Choy position. Now, use me like a mirror. So you turn to your right side, Dinjima, back to say Pingma. Give away, Dinjima, back to say Pingma. Juma, say Pingma. Juma, say Pingma. Taoma, say Pingma. Taoma, say Pingma. So you repeat that 3 times, then fist to the waist, basic blocks, right hand first, so mirror and match. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, Japsa. Change hands. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, Japsa. Fist to the waist. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, Japsa. Change. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, Japsa. Fist to the waist. Ideally, you repeat that 5 times on each hand. Next, the basic japs. So with your right hand first, place the hand out. Basic strikes. I'm going to call out 1 to 10. You would, if you had been led through this in the grading, for a punch, straight punch, you shout ha. Okay. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. Depending on the testing itself, if it's a longer testing, we might shorten these down just to 10, but normally do 30 on each arm. Next one, Kwa Choy. So go into the back fist position. So we start like this, with your right hand forwards. There's no spirit shout for this, but as a student, when the instructor shouts, you shout along. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. Same thing, 30 of those. Next one, Jong. Jong's the uppercut motion, so it's almost the same position as the Kwa, except the rear hands drop down. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. Cup choice next. The rear hand comes over, thumb on top, right hand forwards to start. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. 30 of those. Last one now, Sao Choy. Sao Choy positions tuck through. Instead of calling along with numbers, for this one, you shout seek. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. So 30 of those. Onto the kicks. Start off with your left leg forwards, right leg behind, guarding stance, front kick. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. Change legs. For each kick, the instructor would count 1 to 10, and you shout deep. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga, se. Change legs. Next one we do is a side kick. Take your time with these. I want to see good form rather than a quick kick. Ya, yi, san, se, lo, che, ba, ga. 10 is okay for testing, but ideally 20 would be good. Roundhouse. Take your time. Yeah. Yi. San. Say. Lo. Cha. Ba. Ga. So. Change legs. Ya. Yi. San. Say. Lo. Cha. Ba. Ga. So. Okay, so that's the requirements for the white fringe or the white sash level. At the beginning of the Kung Fu classes, we do a very simple set of stretches. I'm going to take you through them now. We do this most classes. So take your feet about 1 mat distance apart, about the same as a horse stance. Turn the toes out slightly, sink down, and some people have different flexibility levels, that's fine. But if you place your hands down like this, maybe take your legs a little wider, we're stretching here on the inside of the leg. If you lower yourself down, obviously each time you do a stretch, you want to make sure you're not in too much pain. You need to feel a little discomfort though. This stretch you may not get into straight away. If you do, ideally, you want the heels down on both sides, body low, the hips facing forwards, and the toe pointing this direction. You place the hands here. You might find that you do it like that, and that's absolutely fine. You want to hold your stretches for about 30 seconds. You don't need to stretch any more than that. For the first 5 seconds, there's going to be a degree of discomfort. If that doesn't go away, you need to ease off. But after about 5 seconds, the muscle should relax into the position. Let's change sides. Let's walk myself through, make any adjustments I need. I also use my elbow just to support and push the knee out. This takes a little bit of time to get into it, and then when it starts to relax a bit, you can just go a bit deeper if you feel it. Bring the body towards the floor. If you want to place it with a hand, that's fine. But like I said, this is perfectly acceptable. But obviously the lower the better. Next one, move back to the same position, and then I turn my foot, so my toes facing up. I bring my hand behind to the side. I'm just doing a very similar stretch, except for all the muscles along here, it's a bit more of a hamstring. Pushing the knee out. Try and put both hands down if you can. This may also be difficult, so you might find that you're up here. That's fine too. And if you are confident with this one, you can reach in and stretch forwards as you like. I'm going to go through this a bit quicker now, because I don't need to hold them. You can practice them at home. Let's change sides. So I line myself up as I was, bring the toe up, bring a hand over, get comfortable in that position, and then if I'm confident too, I lean forward. From here we come up to a lunge. At the knee, so it's even in line with the heel or behind, or over the top. It's fine, but I'd obviously watch out for being beyond the knee, beyond the toe. The knee beyond the toe is dangerous. We put the knee down here, or a mat. If you're at home, you may want to use a cushion or something. Some people find it difficult, painful on the knee. So I'm lunging here, I'm driving my hips not just forwards, but also down. Try and relax into this position. You may be able to lengthen it, that's entirely up to you, but this is just the basic fundamental stretch we do at the beginning and end of each class. From here, I lean forwards and place my hands on the floor. Now, I'm going to try and keep my hands on the floor, put my foot down, and ideally I want to straighten both legs with my hands down. So you may only get to here, you'll feel the hamstrings pull, that's fine. But if you can, work on having the hands on the floor, both legs straight, and then bring the head into the leg. Change side, just ease ourselves out of that position. Go into lunge, the other side first. Driving the hips into the floor. These are all useful preparation stretches for the side splits. I hold this ideally for 30 seconds. And open up here. If you want to improve the stretch, you can tense the rear line of this leg, so the glutes and hamstrings. That'll help loosen up the muscles here and drive them forwards, but not so much that the toe goes beyond the knee. Place the hands on the floor, hop up, and then try and straighten that front leg. You may only get to here, that's fine, but get yourself comfortable, and if you can, hands on the floor and head to this position. So these are very rounded, easy stretches. You'll feel yourself progress gently with them. We're stretching a whole range of muscles around it, the hip and the leg. Before you move on to anything like trying to attempt the splits, I wouldn't even go there until you're confident and comfortable with these ones. Before we do some strikes or blocks, it's important to warm up the shoulders. So I'm going to take you through a simple and effective way of warming up the shoulders. So start off with rotations, draw the palms together, back to back, open out, palms out. This, and as you do this one, just raise the shoulders up, back, and draw them down. All of these ones that we're doing, if you find they're working for you, they're good, you can keep on doing more. Of course, I'm just taking you through these ones simply. Let's change direction. Just draw them up, shrug, bring that down. Tilted slightly down, just rock from side to side. Just take an arm, one leg forwards, just slowly circle, as relaxed as you can. Change direction. Change legs. So put arm forwards. Backwards. Come to a loose horse stance. Circle outside, alternating arms. All the time, extending forwards so you can see. Reaching, pointing forwards with my arms circling outside, and then change direction, so inside, same thing, reaching forwards, simple movement. Later on in the videos, the other grades, I'll show you more complex methods and methods of movement that tie more into the actual application of the more advanced strikes and techniques that we use, and using them to warm up the shoulder. Right now, this is just in its simplest form. So that is a very simple warm up for the shoulders. I'm feeling it. And then when you start to go on to do the strikes and blocks, at least you've given your body, your muscles some preparation. Basic blocks in the Kung Fu are Ga, Pete, Quan Kyu, Yuren Kyu, and Jap Sao. So that again is Ga, Pete, Quan Kyu, Yuren Kyu, and Jap Sao. They're all done when we do the testing in a horse stance. So I'm in my horse stance. I bring my fist to the waist. So it's a standard fist with the fist itself behind the line of the stomach, stretching out the shoulder. When you're doing the blocks with one hand, you keep the other hand at the waist as a fist. Ideally, it should be just on the floating rib, not too low. But also, if you go too high, it looks a bit tense and stiff. So fist at the waist. If you want to follow and copy me, I'll do it with my left, and you can do it with your right. So the first one, Ga, we can open out. So we've got our thumb tucked in. We cross the body, raise up slowly. Imagine this is defending against something coming straight towards me or coming down. On contact with that, I do a rotation. I drive around the ulnar and radial bones, dispersing any energy. My fingers should line up with my center line. My elbow should be sunk. And from this angle, you can see it's quite far forward. It's a strong shape. So cross, up, and rotate. Now the next strike is going to follow on from the same position. We're not going to return back and go into the next strike. The strikes are designed, the blocks, we're going to return back and go into the next one. The blocks are designed to travel from one area to the other. So for instance, if my hand's over here, then I need a block that crosses. If my hand's here, and someone's striking here, I need a block that comes down. So, cross, up, and flick out. That's Ga. Next one, Pete. This one's going to attack low. I'm going to edge across, rotate and fold back. So I'm in a very similar position as I was before. Chopping down. This is a striking point. I rotate the energy out and turn my body. All the time, my hips are stable. They're not moving. It's all operating from the spine. Blocks are always use the spine. Strikes use the spine and the pelvis combined. So, Ga. Back to that same position, Pete. So you can observe this position. So there's that transitional position. Ga, Pete. Next one is Quan Kyu. Someone's going to strike in again. So I've already blocked here. This one's here. I could just move my arm across. I could just do this. But we want some rotation here of the forearm. So on impact we can move, disperse any of the energy coming in, but also later on in applications we can use the border of either the radial or ulnar to drive into the person. So, Ga, Pete. I'm going to wind up and rotate it out. Quan Kyu. Again, Ga, Pete, Quan Kyu. Striking to the face. I'm already fully twisted up. Here, I pivot around the elbow. Yuren Kyu. Yuren Kyu means the mirror palm. You have to imagine there's a mirror so you know it's facing this direction. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu. Last one, so I'm striking straight forwards. Just as before, you could just come across like this, it doesn't feel particularly strong. If you do a small rotation first and push through, have a much more powerful strike. So, Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, jab sound. Let's try the other side now. Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, jab sound. So consider trying it slowly and gently, looking at the body movement, the rotation of the forearm. Maybe put some energy in. See how it feels like that. Obviously, if anything hurts the shoulder, take it easy. There's a lot of movement on the rotator cuff for these. If you're not used to it, over a certain age, you start to feel it. So, Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, jab sound. On the other side, Ga, Pi, Kwon Kyu, Yurin Kyu, jab sound. Just the waist. So it's just how we do that in the testing. Same format, facing you, so it's easy to follow along and learn. Practice this one. Take your time to try and get each movement precise in the correct position. And if you do have the opportunity to just video yourself and see how it works. For our basic strikes, we always start in our horse stance. We bring the fist to the waist, and everything's done turning dingjaman to a dingjaman and looking forwards. This is no way obviously to fight martially, but this is just a training process we go through before we start applying the same motion with a slightly smaller hip movement and body movement. So we try and magnify it so you can understand it. First one is called chap. It's a basic punch or chap choy. I turn the body to a dingjaman, extend my arm along the line and crunch forward slightly. Fist side of the waist. I bring it back. I go through my horse stance and I change sides, chap. So, straight line forwards. What I'm after is a perfect straight line. The body might end up doing a lot of movement. It may feel like you're really kind of coming through, but what I'm chasing is just a straight line punch. So that's chap. All the way through. The knee is in the correct position for the dingjaman. The fist is on the side. I'm moving in the hold of the flat fist. This is the basic punch, basic chap. Next movement is kwa. So we cross the arms, lean back, wind up, and do our kwa. So we're doing a kwa forwards and backwards. We're doing a kwa forwards and backwards. But one of them has to have the power from the body. And that power comes from dropping the shoulder, raising the hip this way. So crunch this side. So this side is stretched. So if you look at this arm on its own, it's a really odd movement. I'll wind up. Just throw it out. With this arm, I'll wind up. And obviously, that's where the power comes. So cross, raise, stretch, and drop. Qua. You see, we've got this diagonal motion through, past my center line from high to low. Qua. That bobbing motion you see, I'm exaggerating it now, just comes from recoiling the body to its neutral position. So I've crunched in and I release. What I'm not doing is this. It may look like that. I'm crunching and just relaxing. There's no upward movement. Next one, cut choy. Use the thumb on the side. We swing all the way from the back, high, up, elbows pointing forwards, fists pulled back, and crunch. This is a large movement. It seems a bit excessive and telegraphs that this is just a training movement. Later on, it'll look very different. From the back, over and down. Cut choy. So just straight over, elbow tucked, wrist crooked here, these knuckles facing. Called cut choy, the stamping fist. Next one, the uppercut, John. Starts just like this. Bring it back, swing it past the knee, up and down. So this is the opposite. Whereas the quad crunches and comes back, John lifts and stretches, crunching this side and back. John. Other hand, just let it drop down. I'm keeping this as simple as possible. So, ding after ding John. Last one, sow choy. The arm comes through, rotates slightly, elbows bent, body stretched. At this point where the impact is, I crunch in, I draw it back, and I put it almost behind me. I let it come around as the other one swings through. There's a lot of body movement in this, so allow your waist to turn. Same as the quad, it comes diagonal through. There's a lot going on with the body mechanics in the sow choy, but I'm not going to go into the full mechanics of the hip and the waist and the shoulder in this video for this particular move. I will later. So you can see it cuts through, diagonal, with the forearm, knuckle, elbows bent, and I'm pulling everything in. Just like a quad, goes the opposite direction, sow choy comes this direction. Just like a figure eight. Okay. So, swing it through and put it down. Let the other hand just come neatly behind. So we've got chap, quad, cut, jong, sow. These are very good for training the stance and the positioning of the head. I recommend you do 10 each arm, so 20 of each if you're alternating the minimum, just to get the feel, just to start moving the hips and the waist in the right way and developing the strength. So using the 5 basic blocks now, I'm going to show you on the wooden man how they work. The wooden man represents a human being, a real person, where this arm represents the arm coming out the shoulder high, like a high strike towards the face. This one represents a low punch, like this. It's a little bit low on this wooden man. I would have had it here, it's rebuilt, but it represents this. And this one represents the leg, knee. This really should be up here, but we're not going to work on that anyway today. So this fits nicely. This is about the range that it would be if you were engaged with somebody, but not close range for grappling or longer range for kicks. So I stand in front. If you had a smaller wooden man, or train your horse steps better, but this is also really quite realistic for the actual height of the person, the true opponent. So the first one, guard, comes across the body, we come underneath and we drive up. So my man's not stable, it's not supported on the floor, we have a frame for it over there, but on the mats this is just for demonstration. So I come up, and I come in, and I rotate, out, come back, no, P, drive in, Kwon Q, Yun Q, jab sound. Guard, P, Kwon Q, Yun Q, jab sound. Guard's just a defense against something coming in from the guard. I've been striking, move, and I can grip. Repeat, obviously my arms are on this side of that central line, so I slide it down. Just this motion, just to move the person out of the way. The Kwon Q happens when my hand's on this side. It could be here, and I drive it through, or mostly here, and I turn and twist my body across. Yun Q is very similar to the movement of guard, except I try and direct the opponent's arm to my side, this way, mirror palm. So anytime my hand's over here, I do a Yun Q. Anytime my hand's over here, I do a jab sound. The striking surface is just here in the middle. Ideally, that's going to cause maximum injury to them and minimize your injury. Center of the bone, doesn't matter so much if it gets bruised or struck, just strengthens up. If you are bruised, you rub them out. But if you start hitting the wrist joints, long term, that's going to cause you some problems, and they are likely to have little chips taken out. So, center of the arm, rotational impact, guard, P, Kwon Q, Yun Q, jab sound. If you have a training partner, if you both do exactly the same move, exactly the same moment, using the same hand, so I use my right hand, they use the right hand, we can clash at these points. Change of hands, you can turn that into a drill we call a 5-star. Later on I'll explain to you how, what to do and how to follow on from a block. For instance, if I do a Q, it works very nicely into a dash choy. Or if I do a P, it works into a Yung Shan. Jab sound into a Dongman, Yun Q into a Gongchun. But for the moment, just work on the blocks. You don't need a wooden man, but if you want to build one, it's something you could, or have someone build one, you could invest your time into it. With the measurements, I'll put together a video showing the measurements for the wood. Take a look at some of the basic strikes in application. The application to these strikes is complex, it's detailed, and I can really rattle on, but I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. So the first one is chap, basic punch. And when we do the basics, it is just a straight punch. So from here, this is just aiming into the solar plexus. Now, in many martial arts, they talk about the striking surface of the hand being the two knuckles here. I think that's fine if you want to try and do that, but to be honest, you'd have to have a person who's completely flat on every angle. The human body is not. So I recommend just throw the whole of the fist in, make it strong, so all the bones are in line, but don't get yourself all wound up about trying to line these two knuckles up with the rest of the hand, because actually, if you put yourself in that position, it's fairly vulnerable. Anywhere that it can move, or it's close to its range of motion, full range of motion, can also damage itself. So I put that in the most neutral position you can, and then practice your strikes from there. For things like the quad Choy, we are striking with these two knuckles, this direction. Sao Choy, also striking with these two knuckles. this direction. Cup choy, the thumb's on top. We're striking down with the chisel edge, not with the flat. And Jong's a tricky one because it feels like you're coming underneath, but we're not really. We're just hitting with the flat of the fist up into the stomach this way, into the ribs. So actually you're striking a surface which is almost vertical. So we're not striking underneath. So we've got chaps this way. Quad choy, obviously on the man it's a bit difficult. We just pull the arm down and we can strike through the back of the fist this way. We're striking into the back knuckles here. Cup choy. Cup choy can come over this way, and you can also use the forearm to block. So it's a combination of blocking and striking. If the person's guard there, the cup choy can use the forearm to break through the guard and strike in. Striking surface of the cup choy is the bridge of the nose, the top of the eyebrow, the temple. So really attacking anywhere, or the cheek. Anywhere of the cup choy is going to do the damage. At a more advanced level, closer range, you can just throw it in. The small motion. If you do that with the chisel edge, you will rip the flesh apart, causing a lot of blood in the eyes, striking the nose, and the sinuses all flare up. The person's becoming extremely disorientated. With the quad choy, as I showed you earlier, we can also come into the side here with the quads, striking with the two knuckles. Show you this way. You can see, so if the person's here, and I'm striking with the two knuckles towards the temple. Obviously, all these strikes are extremely dangerous. As I say on all these videos, this is not what I'm recommending that you do. This is just for your academic knowledge of Kung Fu and the history of how it works. If I said, if you point a gun at somebody and shoot, it's going to kill them, it doesn't mean that you go out and point a gun at someone and shoot them. These are just the facts of how the body mechanics works and how it was trained for years. So, two knuckles into the temple. Jong is a tuck and strike up. So I'm not trying to get underneath, because there's nothing to go underneath on. A lot of people think the Jong is to strike up under the chin, like I'm trying to get under here. This is not. We have a different way of striking to do that one. So Jong is just a drop down and a thrust underneath. See? So even on the wooden man, I can use that. This one's dodge, come underneath and strike. That's the Jong. So the whole flat of the fist, solar plexus, bladder. You can even come and do the groin, the floating ribs, or the kidneys with the Jong. Obviously, those are very dangerous areas too, very sensitive areas. If the person's been drinking, they've got a full bladder, the kidneys are working hard, and you punch them like that, you could potentially severely injure them. But this is the academic side of it. Sao Choy. Sao Choy is probably the most lethal and dangerous of the strikes. You can use the forearm into the neck. And it's hard to represent the neck on this one, like this. So I'll just use this here. So you can use the forearm to strike into the neck, or you can use the two knuckles here to strike into the temple. This way. You can do cup choys that way too. That's fine. It's a different strike. You can do cup choys into the ribs, the solar plexus, so you can use it into the temple too. But I want to try and keep it separate for the basics. So the Sao Choy sweeps through, elbow bend, past the target, striking in, or with the forearm into the side of the neck. Obviously, the temple, strike with the two knuckles is probably the most dangerous. It's an incredibly dangerous strike, and potentially with enough force you could kill the person. Forearm into the side of the neck, equally dangerous, but maybe not quite as dangerous. So they're the basic strikes. Chap is solar plexus. If you wind the person, it's also very easy. Just move in. If the person is winded, they're less likely to fight back. Choy, the back fist, can be used to block, and it can be used to block and strike. Also, striking into the back of the person's guard. So imagine this is their arm like this. There's the back side of their knuckle. The bones here are very weak. By striking that way, it's a good opener. But two knuckles to the side of the temple is really what it's for. Cup choy, the chisel edge of these knuckles, you can strike into the face to cause the person to bleed. You can also strike the forearm to block, and if you wanted to, I suppose you can come in sideways into the temple or into the ribs. Jong, uppercut strike, is the lower body, the kidneys, floating rib area, solar plexus, bladder and groin. They're your striking areas, depends how low you want to go. The Sao Choy, two knuckles into the temple, forearm into the side of the neck. You can use it also as a block, and then follow on with something else. So they're the basic strikes. There's a little demonstration on the man. I do recommend, if you want to make them functional, you do need to hit something. So hitting the bags, getting your partner to hold a bag or a heavy bag. Go slowly with this. It's not just a case of developing the condition of the bone, because bones are very strong naturally. It's all the arrangement of the ligaments and tendons that hold the fist in that position. And you'll find eventually, you might be strong, but you'll hit hard and something will bend or your elbow will hurt. So take these things slowly. With the Sao Choy, even though it looks like if you do it wrong, you're going to cause your elbow to jam. So I recommend that your elbows bend and you use it as a pull-through motion. But yeah, work them on the bag to condition the fists, maybe push-ups on the fists, and then if you want to go onto the left fists, later on we have a form called the wall bag set, which I'll teach you how to condition the hands, doing the pattern, the form against the bags, and then obviously later on, as you progress through the system, you will learn the man form, which kind of does the forearms, the shins, the fists, dodging, moving, works on your grip strength as well. It's the whole package. I'm going to take you through the Kung Fu stances. I'll do them as we do them in a testing format. So, as you test, you'll be standing here like this. The instructor will tell you to go into a horse stance, and they'll say Cha Yu, which means the hands to the waist, or the fork position on the waist, like this. So you can step out or measure it. For me, these mats are really convenient because they measure what would be a perfect horse stance for me. So I'm here, I'm in my horse stance, I'm ready. Next move is Ding Jima. We turn to the left side, like this, keeping the heel down, the weight on this leg, hips turn, elbows over. Even though I'm facing this direction with the body, I'm still going to look forwards. This is how we do it in the class. Back to say Ping Ma. Then the other way, Ding Jima. Say Ping Ma. Next one is Jima, cat stance. So I am going to look this way. I pull back. It's about half a mat distance. Sink into my rear leg. Push my elbow. And back. Then the opposite direction. Cat stance, Jima. Halfway the mat. Elbow. Push the knee out. And back. Next one, twist stance. Talma. I take a stealing step. I'm facing to my left. Tuck my knee behind my foot. Head up, looking forwards. And back. The other way. Talma. and back. Last one, kneeling horse, along the same line. Bring my foot in the bit, turn the hip, sink down, push the knees out, and flex the calf. Back straight, back to a horse stance, and the other way. Back to a horse stance. Normally in the testing, we repeat that 3 times. If you can practice this at home, it doesn't really take up very much space. It's going to build the strength in the legs. It's going to help prepare you for what comes next. It's important to warm up before you do any kicks, so we need to warm up with some rotations. I go start off with the hips, and making the lips. So it goes more side to side and forwards and back. You can follow me through this if you like. And we'll do about 10 of these, change direction. And I sink into a loose horse stance. So I just open my feet out a bit wider and just drop my weight onto one leg and then back up and change inside. Ideally, this is flat and horizontal. About 10 of those. With these ones you can see that my back's straight. As I sink down, what you want to do is avoid going forwards. Next, I just make a guard, put my supporting foot forwards. I lift my leg straight. I'm not even going to move my toe at this point. I lift my leg straight and bring it around. Up and around. Turn each leg. It's important to do this with little force, just relaxed. And don't rush them. Change legs. I'm going to go from a cat stance. Just going to raise up and then bring it back down. Side, cat stance, up to a guard. Change legs. I'm going to gently swing my leg front and back. I'll show you things. I'm not going to put much force into this at all. I do it slowly. What I don't want to use is too much momentum. So let's rock forwards and backwards. I want to use the force on my body to lift the leg front and back. So the tension is lifting rather than a swinging motion. Maybe you don't go as high, it's going to start warming the muscles up correctly. Legs. What it does, it starts to warm the supporting leg. So the leg that's holding you in place, those muscles start to warm up, strengthen too. Do the same thing to the side. I'm going to face this way. My supporting foot is going to point almost in this direction. My lifting leg, one I'm going to kick with, is going to point forwards, and I'm going to kick directly behind myself. I'm not going to go off at the angles. Everything's going to be lined up like this. My chest is facing this way. I lean away, and I try to lift along this line. I'm not going to go very far. Once I go higher, then I can lift on a diagonal, but I'm going to kick straight back with my supporting toes going straight forwards, my body leaning this way. Just gently lifting. I'm not aiming for any height. I am just warming up the muscles of the leg. I'm looking over my shoulder though, rather than just looking this direction. That is the direction ultimately that you be kicking. But remember, this is just a warm-up. So I'm changing sides. My toe, when the supporting leg is facing one angle, I'm going to kick 180 degrees the opposite angle. I lean forwards, I lift, and come back. See, this is going to about solar plexus level. It's a comfortable height. For me, if I change the angle, no, of course I can go much higher. But we're not taking ourselves for height. We're using it to open up and strengthen and warm up the muscles that we need for kicking. After that, now the hips are warmed up, you may want to finish off with some more rotations. Maybe rotate the knees. So you can sink into a squat, just circle like this. Obviously, if anything's not comfortable, doesn't feel right, you're in too much pain, then stop the exercise and think about what you're doing. Okay, so we're ready to move on now for the kicks. Let's look at the front kick first. Front kick, obviously after its name, is a kick. It's kicking to the front. It may sound obvious, but later on I'll make sense of why they're named a certain way. So the way we start it is we put one leg forwards. That's going to be your supporting foot. And it starts with the toe facing in the direction of the opponent. You can turn it in if you want to protect the groin, but just for the sake of learning and working through the kicks, we point it forwards. The rear foot, we're not going to step straight back. So we will feel like we're on a line and slightly off balance. We're going to have it open and supportive. So there are different ways to kick. Kicks can become a lot more advanced when it comes to the actual application of them, but these are the training kicks we use for the basics. So for my front kick first, I'm going to open my foot a little bit. Keeping everything set and level, I take my hip, ball and socket, I rotate it out to its maximum position. So now my hips are quite open, as if I'm trying to do the side splits, or the center splits. I let my body move in, I sink, I'm building up some energy, my rear foot lifts, I swing it up. Obviously this is all done slowly and with one motion. I'm to a higher position, I extend, and I come back and through. It's a very simple front kick motion. Obviously this is the kinetic chain of movement, and one would follow on seamlessly into the other. But I am showing you block by block, just like individual letters before you learn to join them up. So first I open, rotating the ball and socket here, shift my weight in, raise, and then extend. If you want more motion forwards, so maybe your hip's not turned as far as you know you can be. You can also pivot again on the rear foot, on the supporting foot, so you can open a bit, and open a bit more as you kick, provided that you can actually get that much motion open. The more flexible you are, the more you can turn your rear foot, the further you can stack your hip. So the position of a front kick is like that of a cat stance. My hips are forwards, I've got my supporting leg in a straight position here, or maybe even in, and this one is the knee pointing out. So this is the position of a front kick, but what we're after is what we call stacking the hip. So if you can see the pelvis, it'll be in this position, and it'll be side on. So I open the foot, I lift the knee, and I extend it. If you want more movement, and you've got more flexibility, you open the leg, you lift the knee, you pivot a bit as you kick. So a small shuffle. I'm doing it slowly and gently at first so you can get used to the sensation of it. So open, lift, open, lift is one, and then put the foot out at the end. Height's good if you want to go for height, or more of a thrusting motion for length. So you've got a choice of going high or long. On application against an opponent, there's different methods and different ways to kick, different areas of the foot to strike with, including the shin, instep, depending on how you're kicking and where you're kicking the opponent. But let's just say, as a default setting for your basic kicks in the beginner level of the classes, just go for height and strength. Something that looks high and is strong is good. Maybe try to avoid completely locking out your knee, and try to avoid swinging your leg up and damaging your hamstring. If my hamstring is straight, and if my knee straight, my hamstring is stretched, as I do this one, it puts a powerful tight stretch through the hamstring. If I unlock the knee slightly, it reduces it. Also, if my knee's unlocked and I extend it, then it stretches the hamstring, but it's using the power of the quad on the front. So maybe gently work into them. Maybe don't do the straight leg at first. Make sure you follow the movement. Raise up and then extend. If you do them slowly, you start to develop strength in the quad, which is needed to lift the leg. Open, raise, extend, and back. So if I go for left, you see the shuffle of the hip. It's a bit more like a side kick. You see my foot's in an upright position. If I go for height, now you see me squat down to get my hips underneath. It's entirely up to you which one you do. Somewhere in the middle would be good. Just a nice demonstration kick. Front kick. You notice my guard now is changing. My guard is this way. And when I do my kick, it's this way around. So I'll try and do this slowly for you. See? It moves naturally. There's a movement of my hip and shoulders. I recommend, if you want to get good at your front kick, you do them very slowly at first. Open, raise, extend, and come back. If you do 10 of these to warm up with, at least your body knows the pathway it wants the kinetic chain to follow. You won't feel very strong. You'll start feeling weak as the muscle starts to warm up and actually become pumped up and become a sensation of weak, but eventually in time you'll get stronger with your kicks. Then maybe 10 at a medium, very relaxed feeling, and then 10 with power. You can try long, you can try high. It's entirely up to you. But like I said, I can recommend make it look impressive, make it feel impressive, but don't risk any kind of injury to your legs, hips, or hamstrings. Application to the front kick is quite simple. There's not many areas you can kick with a front kick, and maybe remove the idea of kicking someone in the head or the face with the front kick. It's not the same as a punch. To kick up here and to do it with confidence and avoid a person's guard is difficult, and also the angle of my foot would be, and the amount of force I can produce is greatly limited compared to kicking to the solar plexus or into the groin. So if you are going to kick somebody at a distance you need to know your range and know that I can strike and attack him. So this is my distance, that's my range. I know that I can get the person from here, from back here, and I have to take an additional step and push him. Okay, so kicking to the solar plexus, you can either use the ball of the foot, I don't recommend that, or you can use the heel or the entire foot. As most people are wearing shoes, if you are going to end up in a fight situation, just use the whole of the foot, it's fine, just make sure it feels strong. Kicking the groin, this is no way to kick the groin straight, it doesn't work like that. You can go straight on, but I don't think it's going to cause some pain and injury, but it's not really useful in the same way because there's so much movement. Obviously the person's bladder, if you do kick into the person's bladder, this is where you want to kick, into here. You come in with the heel or with the ball of the foot. I recommend just the whole of the foot into the bladder would be good. Striking the hip is a way of moving the person away from you as well. Obviously, a lot of fight situations happen when someone is already been drinking, and if they've been drinking, they've very often got a full bladder. So if you kick someone in the bladder, it's gonna shock the system. Also, it runs the risk of injuring them far greater than you would do normally. The primary application for front kick is actually to use the shin or the instep and to strike up in between the legs into the groin. Can't really show you that on the wooden man, but this is where the groin would be, roughly about here on me, like this, and then you need an upward motion. So we use the shin, we just kick into it this way. So the motion is just to come up and in with the shin in between the legs. And that can happen at a close range here. In the knee, you can't reach with the knee, you can use the shin. If you're falling over, you can also apply that on the way down. The shin's going to do more damage than the knee, obviously, because the knee is a larger surface, it's less bony, whereas the shin itself, it's got the blade on it. The blade of the tibia. So there are the applications of the front kick. If you are going to kick, and it's not a long distance, if you are at a long distance, make sure you're stable, you don't overreach, and you've practiced against actual objects, you've practiced against a bag, kicked hard, so you know what it feels like to actually impact on something. Obviously this wooden man's just loose at the moment. Try it against a heavy bag, or get a partner to hold the bag for you. Also try it without a bag there so you know how to stop with a lot of force too. But if you are going to apply at a middle distance or from a striking distance, I recommend you grab hold. If you grab hold of somebody, you can kick a lot more effectively and it's much harder for them to push you off balance. If you have hold of them, you're pulling them, as you deliver your kick, you're less likely to be pushed off balance. If I go to do a kick and they push me, I'm only on my leg, I've lost my support. So you are going to kick, grab hold, and apply the kick. Or get very good at the distance, but just be aware that the person is going to move. We have some techniques on the bag where your partner holds the bag and they're moving all the time. And you have to try and kick that bag. And as they see you coming in, they just dodge. Or if they come in and you're a bit too close, they'll wedge into you. The sensation of someone coming at you while you're kicking or moving away, and you haven't got the timing right, it can really throw you off balance. So train these things up, be stable, but you are applying a front kick in the kind of theoretical, classical kung fu way. You want to create the most damage and injury to your opponent. Remember, this kung fu came out of warfare at the time. You would strike to the groin, you would strike with the blade of the shin, and you'd kick up as hard as you can. Okay, so these are the applications. To train them, try them on the bag. I don't recommend kicking anything with your shins until you've done some conditioning to them. If you want to condition your shins, you can just start, let's see, you can start just gently tapping the shin on the side and then onto the blade so you get a feel for the sensation. Some people use an object and roll, or just kicking a heavy bag can also do it too. So let's look at the side kick now. Side kick starts very similar to the front kick. I open the foot out a bit, 45 degrees is about the limit of my motion. I raise up my knee, just as I would to do a front kick, but now I pivot my hip over and pivot on my rear toe. So I'm pivoting on my toe and I try and get my heel to go forwards like this. So you can see my foot's off at this angle and my leg turned over. So it's important to get each one of these steps right. So I open my foot out, shift forwards, raise my knee. My knee's now pointing towards the camera, and my heel, most importantly, is along the same line as the camera. I pivot. So now you can see my heel is still along the line towards the camera, but my knee's gone out. My leg is horizontal, and my rear foot is the toes are off and heel's more towards the camera. My body's upright, my shoulders are back. From this position, I drive my knee forwards along, my heel forwards along the same line as the camera, and turn away slightly to get the twist through. Otherwise, it ends up being a front kick with the foot on the side. So what we don't want is a front kick with the toes facing this way. What we do want is a kick where the movement, the power, comes with a push like this. I'll show you from the side. I'm opening the foot. I come up. I pivot the hip over, pivot on the toe, and turn my knee here. My heel's along that line. My body is turned this way. Obviously my pelvis is facing towards you. And I'm going to drive my knee forwards, drive my foot, my heel forwards. My knee's going to come into the line. I turn my body away slightly to get that twisting motion through. Up and through. You can do as one movement. The connected chain can come in to load the energy up and extend out to do the kick. Open, here, pivot, extend. For training, but not for martial application, I recommend you put a slight curve or hook on the end to give you a nice sense of how it feels. Now this is not how you do a side kick. but it will amplify the way that it feels. So what I teach at my school is to bring it up, take it over, extend it out slightly offline, and then as you come back with the body, the leg goes the opposite way, just to amplify the twist. And what you get is sort of a hook kick, really. You get a little flick on the end. That's not how I recommend you kick, but I do train that at first, because what I don't want to see is a roundhouse kick and a side kick that look the same. Now, I've seen many people test over the years, I've seen lots of different martial arts schools, and very often the student doing a roundhouse kick looks no different to the student doing a side kick. So the roundhouse kick looks like this, the side kick looks like this, and if that's the side kick, and that's the roundhouse kick, and that's the front kick, to me it's all the same. So I want to make strong, clear distinctions, and then later on, through practice, you can turn them into more definite movements. So the side kick is going to come this way, whereas the roundhouse kick can go that way, and the front kick is going to go straight. So the knee comes up and twists, I load it up, extend slightly off the line, and as I bring my hips over, my foot goes back. You don't have to kick very hard. What I do want is that nice motion of when the hip goes over, the foot goes back, and you get this powerful push away rotation. It's different to a back kick. When you do a back kick, the toes are facing down, and generally it comes from the other angle. But I'll explain later about the difference between front, side, roundhouse and back in terms of the true martial application. Application to the side kick are very similar to that as the front kick. When the opponent's moving it towards you, the side kick is a very powerful method of moving them away. So I'd be aiming into the pelvis region, which is just here on the bag. I'd be aiming into the pelvis region and using it to drive and push my opponent away from me. So with force, someone's moving into me, I can drive in and push them away. So it's important you train that one on a heavy bag. You can get someone holding a large kick shield, walking towards you, and you have to stop them without bouncing yourself away. You can strike into the solar plexus. It's a big area, so your foot shouldn't slide too much. If you do though, however, try to use your heel as you kick. Drive the energy in. The other areas are the knee. So you can strike into the knee. You can go sideways or straight on. We don't normally use the front kick to the knee because the front of the foot, well, it slides around quite a bit. But the side of the foot has a sort of natural grip and more surface for sliding and stuck in control. So when someone comes in, you can pop it into the knee, they walk towards you, into the pelvis, or into the solar plexus. Obviously I'd avoid kicking in the head, because the body has this natural movement back of the head, but not so much of the solar plexus or the hip. So, knee front arm, knee to the side, hips, front arm, solar plexus, front arm, maybe the ribs, but there's some movement there, certainly not the head. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so they're the areas to attack with the side kick. Roundhouse kick. So we start with the same guard like this. The roundhouse kick is distinctly different to the other kicks. The side kick comes this way, front kick goes this way, roundhouse kick goes this way. And if it's similar to a stance, it's similar to that of a horse stance. This is the position you want to be in at the end of the roundhouse kick, just stacked up and extended. But this position of the openness of the legs is what we're chasing through the roundhouse kick. So, first I open my foot, as you do with the other ones, and now it's different. I take my leg off to the side, cocked up and horizontal. I then from here pivot on the rear foot, like it looks like a side kick, and then extend out and come back. So we do find this position in it just like we do for the side kick. So open, cock the leg, pivot, extend, and draw it back. Obviously, that's the kinetic chain. I've broken it down. As it flows, it ticks those boxes, and the movement's complete. This is the simplest way to produce a nice roundhouse kick. Obviously, you want it to be as horizontal as possible. The higher you go, the less that happens, but it's no problem if you want to go shoulder level, solar plexus, or even hip, as long as you follow that correct line. So you open, raise, pivot, extend, and then draw it back. Quite simple. You can train it over an object. So I'll just grab a bag so you can see. This is how I was originally taught as a kid. It wasn't a bag, it was a chair or a table, I can't remember. I think it was a table. If you put it nearby, it forces you to step over it. So I open the foot, I raise over, pivot, extend, and come back. Decent way to train it. It's not the best and most effective way to do a roundhouse kick, but it's the best way to learn how to do the roundhouse kick. You can modify and adapt it for speed and for power later. Okay, that's not how I would do a roundhouse kick if I was applying it against somebody, but we'll explore that later. I'll do it on a heavy bag. So again, the roundhouse kick opens, comes up, pivots, extends, and comes back. The striking surface I recommend is the shin. Here, I'd avoid using the foot because it's a very weak position to actually be in. Obviously, if you were to probably apply this, you'd be wearing shoes. Now, as I've said earlier in the video about the side kick, it's very important to have it look different to the side kick. So the roundhouse kick comes this way, pivots, extends. The side kick comes this way, and there's a slight hook back, just to make that distinction clear. So when you do come to test, make sure the roundhouse kick looks like a roundhouse, make sure the side kick comes the opposite direction, and the front kick goes straight. What I don't want to see is roundhouse, side kick, front kick, just because these weak angles. Okay, so try your best to lift and turn, and I'd rather see this than that. Okay, so it doesn't matter how high it is, as long as it's accurate. And also, remember, try and work on that sensation of a horse stance throughout the movement. A kind of heavy horse stance position with the knees pushed down. Okay, so let's try this. Applications to the roundhouse kick are simple, really. We don't recommend kicking for the head, but if you have got incredible flexibility, strength, and your kicks are very, very powerful, then yeah, a head shot, if you're fast, kicking the head it can work very well, but it's an extremely risky technique. So we really recommend striking into the ribs into the low part of the ribs here, into the costals. We can snap them quite easily. So kicking in this area with the roundhouse kick is good. Obviously you see in MMA, everyone's kicking the thigh. That works too. Or kicking into the side of the knee is extremely dangerous but very successful. Low roundhouse kicks can be done as a sweep. And I'll show you from the side. One of the other techniques of the roundhouse kick is to point the toe in. So it's actually coming in this way. So I'll show you here. So my toes pointed in, and to kick into the groin this way. So my opponent from the side, imagine your arms are facing this way, or they're standing like this. Then I would be reaching around, and I'd be coming into striking the groin area there. So really, along the leg, the floating rib area, or along the side, coming in at an angle to the groin. Anything else is very high risk. Well, obviously, if you thought you could reach the head, that's fine. A lot of people do that in sparring, but it's a big movement from here all the way up. And this is a very small movement, so just be aware that if you try that, it's probably not going to work. In sparring, you can get skillful at it with your opponent. You're both trying at the same time. They can be blocking, you can be kicking, you start pulling them off, and it works every time, but obviously you know it's going to work for you. But otherwise, stick to the basics. Kicking into the knee and the thigh, or the groin. Obviously, this is theoretical. This is based on the history of Chinese martial arts. Very dangerous and unpleasant applications. I'm not recommending you go out and use these, but in a life-threatening situation, these might come in handy. But just beware, whatever repercussions come of this falls on you, and you have to deal with the consequences. So I said earlier I was going to talk about why it's called the front kick, why it's called the side kick, why we call it a roundhouse kick, back kick, whatever, why these names are specifically there. And it's only got to do with the direction of your movement. So in class, everything's done from here. We do our front kicks, forwards. We do our side kicks, forwards. We do our roundhouse kicks, forwards. But that's not the most effective way to use them. So I'm going to show you from the front leg and from the rear leg. So if my guard's here like this, it makes sense that the front leg going forwards produces a front kick. And from this position, if I want to kick to the side, just to lift my leg up, as if I'm going to do a front kick, my heel's on line, and there's my side kick. From this position, I kick sideways with a side kick. I kick forwards with a front kick. If I'm going to go around or over something, then I use a roundhouse kick. If I want to go backwards, I use a back kick. Does that make sense? With the other leg forwards, we're using the rear leg. Same thing applies. I come up, front kick. I come up and across to the side with a side kick. I stand backwards with a back kick, and I come around with a roundhouse kick. So depending on where your opponent is and how confident you are kicking with the front or rear leg, it dictates your kick. So if I'm here like this, someone appears behind me at high speed, I can do a side kick. If I took my time, I can do a roundhouse kick. Someone's in front of me, I can do a front kick with your leg. Someone's over here, I can do a roundhouse kick, or I can do a side kick behind me. I can do a back kick with either leg. So then I've got an arsenal of strikes in each direction how I want them. Obviously, I can still do a side kick on a diagonal. I can still do a side kick from here. I can still do a side kick over here if I want to. But the simplest, easiest, quickest movement is if they're in front of you, do a front kick. If to the side kick, behind you do a back kick, and over to the other side of you do a roundhouse kick. So this is for anyone interested in constructing a Choy foot wooden dummy, a wooden man. I'm going to talk you through do's and don'ts, and just so you can get the proportions that you need. There's two ways to do this. You can have it so that there's nothing on top, and the top is about the same height as you, or you can have it so it's a bit lower, and it has a hand, an arm on the top here that spins. Now that's for one move or two moves in the pattern. One where we pull the arm down and come across here the chin sheet, which you can also do here, or just bring it through. And another move where you pull the arm down and you do an outside press and kick over the top. So you can have it a bit lower and have the spinning thing on it. If you are going to go down that route, I recommend about this high spine. That's good. It fits nicely into your head level at a loose horse stance, so the pattern will fit together well. You just have a bolt going through the center into the top so you can freely spin. But what you don't want it to do is like a helicopter movement, and you'd like it straight every time you finished it. So what we do is we get a bit of bungee and we tie it from the back here along to the arm, or even just a piece of rope that's that exact length, so it doesn't even have to be bungee. And as the arm spins, it won't spin too far because of the restriction. It will also come back. And we never strike the top arm. We never strike the top arm without first having this one pulled down. So by pulling this one down, it releases the slack on the top arm. It allows it to spin to a point, and the moment this snaps in, then that snaps straight. So that's one option. It's a very elegant construction. It's something I came up with myself actually. I pat myself on the back and say it's very elegant, but I've seen some terrible constructions which don't function like that. So that's probably the easiest way if you want to go down the route of the top arm. But if not, don't worry. So you've got two choices. You can have it as it is a real human being standing in front of you, how someone would naturally fight, or you can have it based on the proportions of someone fighting in a classic stance. If you've got a limited space, maybe go for the smaller one. If you want the spinning one on the top, maybe go for the smaller one so that it feels natural. Other than that, if you choose to be in a horse stance or standing up, these top bags should be your head level, your face level. This little bag here should be your solar plexus height. These ones here, I think they're fine just in between, but you could also lower them down if you choose to place it where the floating rib is. These arms should probably, as this one here comes out at your shoulder level, this one should be matched where my elbow would touch my bag. So really on my wooden man it should be here, it should be about that height. The knee one, well, this is a bit of a disappointment, but there we go. It should come out roughly about there. You can bring it down at an angle, or you can do a double angle, but it should come out like this. And it should be low enough that you can sweep it. So the move we use is to sweep it in like this. So that's all you're really using for in the form, but it's good to have it at the correct level so that when you're attacking the groin and some of the movements, you actually have this restriction. You can't just blindly come up. There's also other movements in the pattern which will hook the leg. So about here would be good. Obviously this bottom one is at the level of the groin. So whether you choose to do it low, in a horse stance and have the head at this level, the solar plexus level, the groin at this level, arms here and here, or high, it's based on the human proportion. If it's your personal tailored wooden man, then base it on your proportions. It's going to feel very natural, but it's also to represent an aggressor towards you. So this is, I think this is someone slightly a couple of inches taller than me with very low arms and very short legs. if you want your own one, obviously, like I said, you can base it on yourself, or if you want to train against someone that's bigger, stronger than you, you can change the proportions, make them taller. If it's for your own gym, or your own martial arts studio, then maybe take an average of your students. The form is harder to do if the wooden man's bigger, and a lot of people in fight, they come down to a smaller, more crunched position. So you can see, this is, I stretch myself up exactly my height, but if I was to crouch down, this might be the best height and level for the wooden man. Face here, solar plexus here, front arm there, lower arm at this angle, the knee coming up here and the groin in that position. That would be ideal. If you choose to construct it, these arms are quite long. I recommend that you only have the length of your elbow to the knuckle. So really, this long would be fine. And here, with the leg, should try and match them all up, but it doesn't matter so much because this has just got a bolt through the middle, which then fits this. A little bit of elastic on there allows the movement. You can increase the weight of that if you want, or some people actually add weights to it. That's entirely up to you. These are just filled with rice, wrapped up and tied on. This was made by a friend of mine. It's actually hollow. He used planks of English rosewood. But you can just use two large pieces of pine, which is what most people do. And then this, if you do it, I've seen people do it, 2 large pieces of pine, and then just cut these bits out. This makes it more solid. The most difficult thing probably is the base. This is free from the base, just so I can use it for demonstrations and move it around. But normally what I do, or what we have, is a large piece of not too thick hardboard, or compression board, that comes behind, because really the motion is the backwards motion more than the forwards motion, and we just balance some gym weights on it, some plate weights, and then it's pretty stable. Then not many people are going to move over. And people make silly mistakes when they use a wooden man. They start trying to throw some big, powerful side kicks at it. But yeah, it's going to move if you start doing that. It's going to move and make yourself feel good about yourself. But it's not really there to train the side kick. It's there to train the forearms, the shin, and then, most importantly, the movements of you around the arms. So if you want to build one, it's great, go ahead. If you're not sure, you can always email me and I'll get back to you about it. But either make it as cheap as you can, get some scrap wood, put it together, make it strong but cheap, or if you really want it to be good, go and see a carpenter. Don't waste your effort or your time, unless you want to do it as a hobby thing. The quality of wood's irrelevant. I mean, when I chose the wood, it's really beautiful. After a while, you end up smashing it, and it doesn't matter then, does it? Right, so good luck if you want to try that. I will at some point, probably after the black belt level on the virtual school, upload the wooden man form. But until then, you can practice a lot of your techniques against it. So if you are going to do it, try and get the proportions perfect. We're going to talk about some basic rules and etiquette that we have in all the classes that we do. Bowing is an important part of spiritual practices coming down through Buddhism, and also a major part of martial arts, yoga and other practices. So I'm going to tell you how we do ours. And when you come into the room, you should really bow either to the instructor or to the room itself. You can do that by making a right fist and a left palm, placing the thumb just onto this first knuckle here and completing the position like that. So as you come in, just make the shape and do a small bow as you come in. You don't have to do that, but it's just a tradition, so you can get an idea of what we want. If the instructor's in the room, you bow to them. You come in, wait for the class to start. When the class starts, we all line up. We all face towards what is ever the front of the room, and the instructor gets you to follow along. So let's say that's the front of the room. I'm the instructor. I put my feet together, make a fist and a palm. Bow once forwards for the past masters. Depending on your grade and rank within the organisation, you bow again forwards again to the present masters, and then the instructor turns around, but you all, as the students, still face forwards. You bow to each other, future masters. Okay. The angle in which you bow is also quite relevant to your position within the organisation. The more senior you are, the less you need to tilt. But to be honest, most people pretty much will bow at the same angle. If you want to show more respect, you could always bow a bit lower, or less respect, you can bow a bit less. In fact, it doesn't really matter. As long as you just bow a bit to each other, that's all that counts. We do that at the beginning and at the end of the class. It helps prepare your mind for entering into a practice. It's very different to what most people do in their day-to-day life. So when you come in, you've got your uniform on, you do the bows, you really know that you're settled, you're ready to learn and to develop yourself. Other times where you can bow is when, or if you are in a situation where you're partnering with somebody, you can then just bow to each other, just a little bow to each other before you start, and when you finish, then it's just a nice way of saying you're both on the same level, and whatever happened, sometimes people get quite emotional, especially if they're doing some of the martial arts side of it. When you separate, there's no hard feelings. Not that that really happens much, but new students, adrenaline kicks in, and sometimes you can surprise yourself how emotional that makes you feel. Other times where you bow are when your instructor tells you to do something. So the instructor addresses the group, perhaps he demonstrates or she demonstrates some technique or some movements, and he says, okay, right, now go and practice, to say thank you, and show that you're prepared and ready to go and do it. Everyone does a little bow, and the instructor bows back as well. Most of the time, the instructor initiates the bow, so they say, right, go on, do the practice, the instructor will bow, and people will bow back. Either way is fine. That's about it. I think really I don't want to push the etiquette any further than that, but as you progress through the school, you'll learn little subtle concepts that have trickled down from the monastery, from the Shaolin monastery, but on the whole, this is really all you need to know.